Many of you may remember this man who is the Jackson, Mississippi mayor. Well, he's coming under a lot of fire because people were not happy with what he said during a news conference and why Dexter Wade's family was not properly notified that he was killed by a police officer that was off duty driving a police cruiser for 6 whole months. So his answer was it was a communication issue. No, this was not a communication issue. Your one of your cops killed this man. And then y'all buried him in a pauper's grave like you didn't have any ID on him. And even the coroner said they had his ID. So he is really getting a lot of heat now. People are very upset. So the mayor of Mississippi Capital blames miscommunication between government agencies for a family learning their loved one's fate almost 6 months after they reported him missing. Jackson Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba addressed the death of 37-year-old Dexter Wade in his annual State of the City speech on Thursday, people reported. There was a lack of communication with the Missing Persons Division, the coroner's office, and accident investigation, Lumumba said. Because of that, Mr. Wade, they were able to find they were unable to find his family within a certain time period. This is ridiculous. How is that the case when the coroner's office had his ID and his address that came directly off of his ID? This mayor is lying. He's lying. He's lying. A Jackson Police Department car operated by an off duty corporal reportedly hit Mr. Wade while he was walking across the 6-lane Interstate 55 in South Jackson on March 5th. His mother, Barriston Wade, reported the father of two daughters missing on March 14th and learned almost 6 months after, on August 24th, that the police officer had killed him. All of this could have been avoided, Wade's mother said last week. None of this had to happen. According to People, an earlier report from NBC News indicates an investigation. Hinds County coroner was unable to identify Wade at the site of the accident and later did so using prescription drugs found on his body and contacted information obtained from the medical provider. Okay, so you still found out who he was, where he lived, you had that information. Okay, most of us that get prescription meds, you got to give all that information to them. And a lot of times when you go to a pharmacy, you provide that information. So they were able to find out who he was. That's the bottom line. So, ladies and gentlemen, they said the police reportedly told the coroner that there was no information on whether Wade's family had been found and notified of his death, prompting the former to go to Hinds County Board of Supervisors in late March for permission to bury the deceased. So that doesn't make any sense. You found out who he was through the medication that he had on him. You were able to get the information you needed from the medical provider. You should have then gone over to that whatever the address was on there to notify the family. I don't care what these people say. They did not go above and beyond because they were protecting the officer that ran him over and killed him. That's what I believed the first time I saw this story, and I believe it now. They were looking out for that officer, and this mayor is doing the same thing. And this is why people do not like or trust many of these black politicians in our community, because black politicians support and uphold white supremacy. That's exactly what they do. So, ladies and gentlemen, going on Thursday, Lumumba stated that the number was not accurate and a good number to use, resulting in police being unable to make contact with Wade's family. Okay, if you could not get them by phone, why didn't you show up at the house, the address you had, and knock on the door? Why didn't you do that? This sounds like some very sorry excuses. Police reportedly told the coroner there was no information, and Wade was buried in a pauper's field in Hines County Penal Farm in July after authorities repeatedly told the coroner there was no update. Oh boy. Authorities called and informed Wade's mother of his death on August 24th and later gave his burial site. He was at a marker, and it was only thing that was on the grave was a marker that said 672, and paid $250 to claim his corpse. Why would the mother have to pay you anything for all the rotten mess that you did? Wow. For what you did, you should have done anything to, above and beyond to accommodate this family, charging them $250 to claim his corpse. After what you did, this woman tried for 6 months to find out what happened to her son, and y'all consistently lied to this woman over and over. To put your child and to bury him like that, and they knew that one of their officers had hit him. That was why they were covering for the officer. I could have understood if somebody shot him on the streets. It's just so much. In his Thursday speech, Lumumba noted, at no point have we identified or did an investigation reveal and that there was any police misconduct in this process and that there was any malicious intent. I believe it was. I believe y'all did this entire thing to cover up for that cop. I believe it is for malicious intent. So, Jackson, director of communication, Melissa Faith Payne, previously expressed similar comments, stating that the police working on missing persons investigations were unaware Wade was the victim who died on March 5th. Okay, how is it that a cop hit him and y'all are unaware of who he is when the coroner said he was able to find out who he was? See, I think even now that his mother is suing, they're still lying. They're still not coming out with the truth. She also said that the lead detective investigated the case until his retirement and that a later officer took up Wade's case and traced it back to the coroner's office, according to People. But don't the police department and the coroner's office always work together? But now all of a sudden, in this case, nobody's communicating, right? The Jackson Police Department and the Jackson Coroner's Office did not reply to requests for comment. It is tragic to lose your child. It is tragic to suffer the consequences of having to bury your child before you pass. But to add insult to the trauma, it is even more difficult to not have the ability to have a proper burial for your child, Lumumba said in his speech. And for that, we regret the circumstances that Mr. Wade's family has had to deal with. Well, you know what? That ain't good enough. That ain't good enough. For what they did to this family, man, I hope they own the city of Jackson before it's all said and done. This mayor is of no use to the community if this is the kind of stuff he's going to do. I can see why people are coming down on him for his reaction, talking about nothing malicious and trying to protect the cop, because that's all he's doing. He's protecting the cop that ran Dexter Wade over and killed him, and then they stayed silent about it for 6 whole months. And the mayor had to know, okay, because the mayor is the one that's over the police. So he had to know for these last 6 months about what happened to Dexter Wade. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.